AITA for refusing to let my child share a room with their step-sibling? I, 36F, am a mom to a wonderful 10-year-old boy, Ethan. He's my world, and it's been just the two of us for the past 5 years since I divorced his father. Ethan is a sweet, sensitive kid. He loves reading, building elaborate Lego sets, and is starting to get really into drawing. He's always been a little shy, but when he feels safe, his personality shines. My partner Dan, 38M, and I have been together for about 2 years now. We met through mutual friends, and honestly, I wasn't looking for a relationship at the time. I was focused on Ethan and trying to rebuild my life post-divorce. But Dan was so kind, patient, and understanding. He never pushed me and was incredibly supportive, which eventually won me over. Dan has an 11-year-old daughter, Lila, from his previous marriage. Lila is with us every other week, and she's a great kid, outgoing, funny, and very sweet. She and Ethan get along really well, which was such a relief to me. I know how tricky blending families can be, so seeing them laugh and play together felt like a win. About a year ago, Dan moved in with us. It felt like the right step, and we all adjusted surprisingly well. Ethan was a little nervous at first. He's always been territorial about his space, but Dan made an effort to connect with him without being overbearing. I thought we were on the right track. Both Ethan and Lila have their own rooms in our house. Ethan's room is his sanctuary. It's filled with his favorite books, his art supplies, his posters. Basically, it's him in room form. Lila has her own room too, even though she's only here part-time. I wanted her to feel like she had a space that was hers, somewhere she could feel comfortable and at home. This arrangement has worked well. The kids have their own spaces to retreat to, which I think is so important, especially at their ages. They're both at that stage where boundaries and privacy are starting to matter. But recently, Dan brought up something that's thrown me for a loop. Dan works from home and has been using our kitchen table as his office. I know it's not ideal. He's constantly having to pack up his stuff for meals, and there's no real privacy for him when he's on calls. He's been hinting for a while that he needs a proper workspace, but I didn't realize how serious he was until he sat me down a few weeks ago. He told me he wanted to turn one of the kids' rooms into a home office. Specifically, he suggested having Ethan and Lila share a room so he could use the other as his workspace. I was honestly stunned. My first reaction was to say no flat out. The idea of asking either of the kids to give up their room felt wrong to me, especially Ethan. This house has been his home since he was born. His room is a safe space, and I know how much it means to him. Dan argued that it's normal for siblings or step-siblings to share rooms. He said the kids get along well, and it wouldn't be a big deal. He pointed out that Lila is only here half the time, so it's not like they'd be sharing 24/7. But here's the thing, it's not just about logistics. It's about what their rooms represent. For Ethan, his room is his refuge. It's where he goes when he's overwhelmed or just needs to be alone. Lila has her own space at her mom's house, but when she's with us, I want her to feel like she has a home here too. Asking them to share feels like taking something important away from both of them. I tried to explain this to Dan, but he got defensive. He said I was being inflexible and unwilling to compromise for the sake of our relationship. He accused me of prioritizing Ethan's needs over his, which really hurt. He even said that my refusal to budge was making him feel like an outsider in our home. I felt awful hearing that. I don't want Dan to feel excluded or unimportant. I really don't. But I also feel like it's my responsibility as a mom to protect Ethan's comfort and boundaries. To try and meet him halfway, I suggested some alternatives. I proposed setting up a small workspace in our bedroom. Our room is big enough to accommodate a desk, and while it's not ideal, I thought it was a fair compromise. I also suggested rearranging the living room to carve out a more private area for him. But Dan dismissed both ideas, saying they wouldn't work. He argued that the bedroom should be a shared space for us, not a work area, and that the living room would be too noisy and distracting. The conversation escalated, and now it's turned into a full-blown issue. Dan keeps bringing up how he's the one making all the sacrifices in our relationship. He said he moved into my house, not our house, and that he's been bending over backward to fit into a space that doesn't really feel like his. I get where he's coming from. I really do. I understand that working at the kitchen table is frustrating and that he wants to feel like he has a stake in this home. But I don't think the solution is to uproot the kids. Ethan hasn't said anything directly, but I can tell he's been listening to our conversations. He's been spending more time in his room lately, almost like he's afraid it might be taken away. That absolutely breaks my heart. The idea of him losing his safe space makes me feel like I'm failing him as a mom. Lila hasn't weighed in either, but I wonder how she'd feel about sharing a room. She's a little older than Ethan and has started wanting more privacy. I don't think she'd be thrilled about having to share a space, even if it's just part-time. Dan, on the other hand, is clearly still upset. He's been distant lately, not outright angry, but cold. He's made a few passive-aggressive comments about how I'm unwilling to make sacrifices for our family, and how this is proof that I'll always put Ethan first. And you know what? Maybe I am putting Ethan first. He's my son. I'm his mom. Of course, I'm going to prioritize his needs, especially when it comes to something as fundamental as his sense of security in his own home. But at the same time, I don't want Dan to feel like he's second place. I love him, and I want our relationship to work. I want us to be a happy, blended family. I'm stuck. I don't know how to navigate this without hurting someone. If I stand my ground, Dan might continue feeling like he's not truly part of this household. If I cave, Ethan and possibly Lila could end up feeling displaced and resentful. So, Reddit. AITA for refusing to let my child share a room with their step-sibling to make space for a home office? How do I balance the needs of my partner and my son without tearing our family apart?